Welcome to CEO Insights. I'm Marilyn de Guzman with investingnews.com. I'm speaking with Nikolaos Cacos, President and CEO of Blue Sky Uranium. Hi, Nico.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you again.
Likewise.
So let's start our conversation with, what's happening right now with your Ivana deposit project. You have a strategic partnership with COAM for the Ivana uranium-vanadium deposit. Can you talk about the details of this partnership and how it aligns with Blue Sky's long-term objective?
Well, this is a huge milestone for Blue Sky. The agreement that we finalized earlier this year with COAM, which is shorthand for Corporación Americas. This business group is one of the most important business groups in Argentina. They are, besides being involved in a number of diversified businesses, including mining, they have a reputation for getting things done under budget, ahead of schedule, and capable in terms of being able to navigate through the regulatory process so that we can take our Ivana uranium deposit and take it through the pre-development phase to the feasibility study, at which they need to spend up to $35 million US, and then when a construction decision is made to go forward and put the project into production, they're responsible for funding up to $160 million US dollars, putting it into production, basically giving Blue Sky and our shareholders a free ride all the way through into production. So they get to earn 80% by spending upwards of around $200 million, and we get basically 20% carried interest. So it's a very good transaction for Blue Sky. And as far as our long-term objectives go, it achieves the first long-term objective of creating a pathway here that can take us right through to production, and allows us now to begin to look at and focus on our other 100% owned projects that we have, and work on coming up with a second uranium discovery.
It's exciting times. So before we, move on to, discuss your other projects, let's expand a little bit on discussion on the Ivana deposit. What sort of timelines are you looking at? And what are the next steps in advancing this deposit?
Well, it's basically two major milestones. First milestone is that COAM needs to achieve is to spend the $35 million US dollars and present a feasibility study. Now, the feasibility study typically could take 2 or 3 years, but what we're looking at here, and already we made an announcement earlier this month in which we're trying to fast track that. The budget for this year has been doubled, and what that means is we're hoping in the next 12 to 18 months to produce the feasibility study so that we can make a production decision, be in a position rather, to make a production decision at a much sooner time.
You're operating in Argentina. Last year, the country has enacted the Basis Law, which establishes the framework for economic and social reforms, which also includes the incentive regime for large investments. How do these policy shifts influence your operations and your investment decisions in that region?
Yeah, they have a tremendous effect, actually, on large investments. It creates a very, very favorable tax regimen for investments that are north of $200 million. But beyond that, the new government here of Milei has made Argentina very business friendly. They've cut a lot of regulatory tape, and we're seeing they've been able to stabilize the economy. They've stabilized the Argentine peso. They have tamed inflation, which was really running rampant in that country. It's created an environment that's very attractive for international business. So what we've seen in the last little while is, BHP, Rio Tinto, like just to quote in the mining space, that have come back into Argentina and committed billions of dollars of investment there, and in other industries as well. So Argentina is becoming a very favorable business destination. And by virtue of the fact that we're already there, we already are known to the government. We're known, in the industry. It gives us, I think, a leg up in knowing how to operate there, and pairing up with a partner like COAM, I think, gives us a real edge over other newcomers.
Right. And this is probably a good time to discuss your other projects in that region. can you provide updates on the exploration activities in the Corcovo, Chuidos, in your project over there? And
Yep.
how do these fit in the company's broader exploration strategy?
Yeah, I mean, over the last few years, we've been really focusing on the Ivana deposit from discovery in 2017 and getting it to the preliminary economic assessment stage, and then transacting that project to allow it to move forward and to head towards production. But what Ivana lies in a district known as the Amarillo Grande. It's a district that's basically, it's a corridor over 145 kilometers in length and 50 kilometers wide. It really is quite enormous. It comprises of over 300,000 hectares. So the Ivana represents a very, very small section of it that's been joint ventured. The balance of the property is wide open. We own it 100%. There are many occurrences of uranium mineralization there. And in fact, there's an opportunity here to make multiple Ivana discoveries just in this district alone. Beyond that, we also have projects in the province to the south, at Chubut province. We have our exploration licenses there. They're earlier stage, and Chubut is making some changes to its mining code right now, so we'll be able to assess and resume exploration there. And then in the province of Mendoza, most people, I think, will appreciate that this is where all the great wine in Argentina comes from. It was just last year when I was speaking with the governor, he mentioned that they're making changes to their code as well to permit mining in that province, including uranium mining. So we've made some moves there. We've acquired some projects there, and we're currently doing some work on these projects. And we'll be reporting those results as they come in. So we have a lot on our plate beyond what we have with Ivana. There's a lot of depth to the company, and these other projects are all 100% owned. So a lot of blue sky here.
Right. So you've also recently closed an oversubscribed, a non-brokered private placement. How will the proceeds be allocated, and what does this indicate about investor confidence in Blue Sky?
Well, yes, we did close a financing. The proceeds go to fund some of the exploration work that we're doing specifically in the Mendoza province and for general working capital. So going forward now, as we begin to assess the changing environment in Argentina for more favorable investment, we're structuring our budgets, and we'll be announcing sort of what our exploration plans are for some of these more promising projects that we've got there.
As you know, global. There's been a global push towards nuclear energy, and recent policy shifts for countries to start building up their capacity. How does Blue Sky position? I think our investors would probably be interested to know how you're positioning yourself to capitalize on this increasing demand for uranium.
Well, yeah, there's definitely nuclear power, electricity generated by nuclear means is really one of the only ways we can generate baseload, stable, cheap, and reliable energy, and safe too, I might add. So as the power needs now are projected to increase dramatically with the advent of new data centers and AI and electric vehicles and all the electrical components that are coming into place, there's a huge increase in the demand for electricity, and it's projected to continue to increase. How are we going to generate all this increased electricity? We're moving away from burning coal and burning oil and gas. Wind power and solar energy are intermittent. Batteries play maybe a role to help ease off this intermittency, but really the most efficient way to do it is with nuclear power. So the build out now for nuclear facilities around the world, the reactors, is skyrocketing. They're being built all over the place. Just this week, we heard from the United States, they're looking to almost quadruple the amount of nuclear energy electricity that's generated by nuclear power in the United States. So there's a huge projected demand that's expected to last and continue on for decades. But you need uranium to power all this fuel. So where does the uranium come from? Uranium is more limited than most people realize. And you have to also look at, uranium that can be sourced from geostrategically reliable and safe countries. You know, in the past, we relied on Kazakhstan or Russia to get nuclear power, to get uranium. These places are presenting the West with a bit of a security risk. But a place like Argentina, which is strategically located in the Western Hemisphere, is a favorable destination, friendly, and now we're seeing with what we're making, these discoveries of uranium, there's potential here to supply not just Argentina with uranium, but also other countries here, the United States and Canada and so forth.
Right. And then with Argentina too, do you think, although they have an established nuclear energy program, they really don't have a, uranium production infrastructure as of now? But are you seeing signs that that's going to change soon, that they're going to start producing? What are you seeing?
Well, that's us. You're right. Argentina has a very sophisticated, actually very well-regarded nuclear industry, and they have a history that goes right back into the 50s, almost as long as the United States nuclear industry. But although they're active in every facet of the nuclear cycle, what they don't have, you're right, is production. They don't produce, they import all their uranium. What we have just with our Ivana project, it represents the largest and most advanced project, nuclear uranium project in Argentina today. So we aim to, our fast tracking is to become Argentina's first domestic supplier of uranium and to become a net exporter as we make additional discoveries there.
That's great. We'll leave it at that. Thanks again, Nico, for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
And thanks everyone for watching. Join us again next time for another edition of CEO Insights.